Welcome into the Bucknuts Morning 5, Bucknutters. I am Dave Biddle, joined by Dan Rubin. And Dan, Ohio State made it official yesterday, the Larry Johnson hiring. He has the fancy title of assistant head coach to go along with defensive line coach. That's not a surprise. We reported on the site on Tuesday he would have a title to go along with D-line coach. I'm sure he's going to have a pretty nice salary as well for a position coach / assistant head coach. But no surprise here. The thing I like from the press release is they talked about that he had a chance to actually meet some players, and he was really blown away by just the integrity and just the spirit of the players. And the more I learned about Larry Johnson, he was a good coach, a good recruiter. This is a very charismatic man. The more I learn about Larry Johnson, Dan, the more I like about him.
Yeah, and I told you this. I was in the D.C. area for a long time covering preps, and I was there actually in 2005 and 6. In 2005, I don't know if people remember this, he's the one who got Derek Williams to commit. Derek Williams is a receiver out of Maryland, but was kind of like the first kid to do the commit on ESPN News kind of deal, and that had a major impact on recruits. And then the next year, he had the all-time D.C. Hall, and he got 6 or 7 kids out of the D.C. area. His reputation as a recruiter is, I mean, if you were going to replace Vrabel with a D-line coach and you wanted a recruiter, I wouldn't even have believed you could get Larry Johnson. So from that respect, they should be really psyched.
And for those that are wondering, Ohio State has not made the Chris Ash hiring official yet, but these things take a couple of days, as we learned with Larry Johnson. That news broke Monday. They didn't make it official until yesterday. So I anticipate that Ohio State will make the Chris Ash news official tomorrow. I think that maybe he will have the title of co-defensive coordinator, and maybe Luke Fickell will have the title of co-defensive coordinator. I don't want anybody to get that confused. We'll keep saying it. Chris Ash will call the defense. He's not going to leave Arkansas as defensive coordinator, calling the shots to come to Ohio State and not call the shots. It just would not happen. So look for that tomorrow. But I think Chris Ash, we'll hear an announcement tomorrow, and he will be co-defensive coordinator, probably in title, but will be calling the shots. Recruiting, real quick, Dan, I want to talk about the fact that Ohio State, I think they're going to finish with 23 or 24 in this class. They have 21 right now. They look to be a lock to finish with the number 2 recruiting class in the country for 24/7 Sports. Brady Taylor will visit this weekend. I think he's definitely going to be number 22. And then Derek Nottie, talk about the defensive tackle. Sounds like there's a good chance the Buckeyes could land Derek Nottie as well.
I don't know if there's a good chance. I certainly think he's in the mix. Like we said, doubling back, having Johnson in the mix certainly helps. No one recruits defensive linemen on the East Coast like Johnson, especially kind of that Baltimore to Virginia Beach corridor, if you're looking north to south on your map. Now he's an interesting guy, especially because he's visiting this weekend. A lot of people think he's a Virginia kid. A lot of people had him pegged for Virginia Tech, which makes it interesting that he's visiting with a guy, Brady Taylor, who's committed to Virginia Tech, and I'm using my air quotes here. Everything we've heard is that Taylor will end up a Buckeye, the local kid. But the fact that he's visiting with Nottie leads you to believe there may be a chance they could do a little Virginia Tech too for this weekend. Not sure about that, only because I know that Solomon Thomas is their number 1 choice, and is taking an official visit later this month. And by the way, if you want the up-to-the-minute coverage of this, both Alex and Bill have been updating this, and Steve Wilfong, for that matter, on the front row. They've been all over this. So I'm really just regurgitating stuff for our really high-paid employees, but definitely the place to follow it. And Solomon, I think Bill's got stuff in there now on it.
And Solomon Thomas is still in play for the Buckeyes. He'll take a visit not this weekend, but next weekend, and that'll be his final visit. So that's good news for Ohio State. Malik McDowell, I don't think the Buckeyes have a very good chance of landing him, but maybe someone will pop out of the blue, kind of like Brady Taylor did. The bottom line is I think Ohio State's going to finish with 23 or 24 in this class. They will have the number 2 recruiting class in the nation. I like seeing Eric Smith get a nice bump up from number 90, a ranking of 90 by 24/7 Sports, all the way to 97. So that's good for the young man.
He basically made him the number 3 safety in the country. That's why we told you guys the rankings are fluid. So I mean, if you really look at it in the long run, he's going to end up being a mid to high recruit for them.
Yeah, he looked great at the Army All-American game, and that entire week he looked good. So, this is a kid that I think a lot of people thought might be a throw-in with Marshawn Lattimore. This kid is a baller. He's a kid that can play safety or corner. Hopefully he'll play safety. That's what the Buckeyes need. He can hit, he can cover. But Dan, I want to say real quick, if you're not a Bucknuts subscriber out there, what are you waiting for? Now's a great time with signing day approaching, all the coaching changes. Try our 7-day free trial. Before our subscribers out there, there's a lot of great stuff on the site today. I'm going to have a column. And, Dan, what else is going to be on the site today for our subscribers?
No question, got a juicy boarding house coming up, as always. We are waiting on the Chris Ash announcement. If that happens, that'll be the first place you can get it. One programming note for everybody, Ask the Staff, which has become one of our more popular segments. We used to run that during football season on Wednesdays. That was kind of a natural fit for it. Now we've moved it to Friday mornings. So set your calendars. Ask the Staff will now be a routine Friday morning deal on Bucknuts. And then we'll move it back to Wednesdays once football season gets cracking again.